The story of James and Diep begins not in moments of triumph but in the heavy silence of worry. Diep greeted her neighbors each day with warmth, wishing everyone health and peace. Yet she knew too well that peace is often a fragile dream. A storm was already gathering far beyond her village, in the bustling streets of Cambodia, where her beloved James, once the confident young CEO, now stood at a crossroads darker than any he had ever faced. A city drenched in shadows. The night sky above Phnom Penh was suffocating, clouds pressing low like a burden no man could carry. Behind the tall glass windows of a hotel room, James stood alone. His hands rested against the pane as if he could push the weight of the world away. Below him, traffic wove through the dark streets like restless serpents, neon lights flickering, car horns piercing the silence. He had been abroad for weeks, overseeing workers, ensuring machines ran without fault, managing endless reports to soothe his father's worries. Outwardly, the company looked stable, a proud empire standing tall. But inwardly, James was crumbling. Each night, he whispered the same question into the empty room. Does Diep still wait for me? Or will I return only to find her gone? It was a thought that gnawed at him relentlessly, even as he longed for Vietnam. The rice fields shimmering in gentle rain, the quiet rhythm of life he had once promised her. He yearned for Diep's voice, soft and steady like the falling of spring water. And then came the call, the knife that cut through calm. The news hit James like a blade. An urgent message from an old business partner in Cambodia. Funds were missing, shipments blocked, whispers of corruption echoing in dark corners. Worse still, a shadowy figure tied to smuggling and underground dealings had ensnared the company. The trap was clear. Ignore the crisis, and the family empire would collapse overnight. Face it, and he would step into a world where signatures carried no weight, where threats replaced contracts, and where a single wrong move could cost his life. That night, his father's voice replayed in his memory. Sometimes, to protect what we built, we must walk through fire. Yet another voice thundered in his heart, Diep's voice. If he chose this path of fire, would he ever return to her? Diep's quiet strength. Back in Vietnam, life for Diep was painted in simpler strokes, yet none of them easy. She woke with the sun, tended the fields, and cared for little Nhi, the orphaned child who had come to cling to her as family. Neighbors teased her gently about James. Still waiting? They asked with knowing smiles. I will wait, she always replied, her voice calm but unwavering. No matter how long. But when the candles burned low at night, She sat before the silent phone and asked herself the question she dared not voice aloud. Was silence the first step toward loss? When James finally called, his voice was lower than she remembered, strained, like a man speaking through storm winds. Too deep, he whispered, things are not safe here. I have to stay longer. I can't tell you everything yet, but I need you to trust me. Her eyes closed. Tears welled, but her voice held steady. James, I will trust you. Just promise me one thing, come back alive. Don't let ambition take you so far that you cannot return. Her words shook him more than the dangers of Cambodia. In that moment, James realized the true peril wasn't losing his empire, it was losing the woman who had waited under the reign of Vietnam. Into the shadows. The next morning, James walked into a different Cambodia. Gone were the polished offices and glass conference rooms. Now his meetings took place in dim cafes behind drawn curtains, in warehouses that smelled of gasoline and rust. Darrow, the man who had first warned him, wasted no time. Your company's shipments are being held, he said bluntly. Someone wants to break you. Walk away, you lose everything. Fight, and you may not survive. James masked the chill that ran through him with the composure of a CEO. Inside, though, Too Deep's words echoed relentlessly. Don't let ambition take you so far that you cannot return. At night, when the deals ended and neon lights flickered like dying stars, James sat in his hotel room, staring at his phone. He longed to hear her voice again but refused to burden her with the truth, the smuggling networks, the betrayals, the unseen figure orchestrating it all. Protecting her meant keeping her in the dark, so instead, he sent one brief message before sleep. I'm thinking of you. Wait for me. A candle in Vietnam. Life in the village went on. Too Deep harvested melons, taught NHI simple songs, and smiled at neighbors who saw the weariness behind her eyes. One evening, the child asked softly, Auntie Too Deep, does James love you? Even if he never comes home? Too Deep knelt, kissed her forehead, and whispered, yes, he loves me. Sometimes love is tested by distance. But no storm lasts forever. Yet when she was alone, she trembled. Each night she lit a candle and prayed silently against the creeping fear that fate might steal James before he ever returned. The betrayal. In Cambodia, the storm reached its breaking point. James uncovered the truth. Someone within his own circle had betrayed him, feeding information to John, the rival who had long sought his downfall. The missing shipments were nothing but bait. The real trap was darker. Dragged James into illegal dealings that would destroy both his business and his freedom. When Darrow handed him the folder of evidence, photos, bank records, names he knew too well, James's hands shook. This was no corporate skirmish. It was war. That night, as rain pounded against Phnom Penh, James made his choice. He would not give in. He would expose the traitors, gather evidence, and return to Vietnam, no matter the cost. But even as his resolve hardened, danger drew closer. He could feel eyes on him in the streets, shadows tracking his every move. A dangerous encounter. The rain refused to stop. James clutched the folder to his chest as he slipped through back alleys, pulse hammering. Behind him, footsteps quickened. A black car screeched to a halt. 2 men stepped out, sharp-eyed and precise. John's shadow had reached Cambodia. James ran. Neon lights bled into the wet pavement as a gunshot cracked the night. Crowds screamed and scattered. His phone buzzed. A message flashed across the screen. "Give up, James, or you'll never see Too Deep again." His blood froze. They knew her name. His most guarded secret. John's threat. Meanwhile, in Vietnam, Too Deep was at the market when she heard a voice that made her heart tighten. "Too Deep," John greeted smoothly, picking up one of her melons. His smile was polite, but his eyes glinted with something darker. "Still living simply," he said softly. "But tell me, how long will you wait for a man who abandoned you?" Her hands trembled as she packed her basket, but her voice was clear. "James did not abandon me. He is fighting for something greater than both of us." John leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Fighting? Or drowning? Do you even know what he's caught in? Cambodia is no place for dreams." "Men like him disappear. Perhaps you deserve someone who can protect you, someone who is here." For a moment, Too Deep felt fear sting her chest. But then her voice steadied. "I don't need protection from you. James is enough for me." John's smile vanished. In its place came a chilling calm. "We'll see," he murmured, before walking away. 2 storms, 1 hope. That night, Too Deep lay awake, candlelight flickering across her face, praying harder than ever. She didn't know about the gunfire echoing in Cambodian streets. She only knew the storm was drawing closer to her doorstep. And in a foreign city, soaked and breathless, James knew the same truth. He was no longer fighting for business or pride. He was fighting for the right to return home, to Too Deep. The greater lesson. Life often tests us in ways we cannot predict. For James, the storm came not as a corporate challenge, but as betrayal and danger in a foreign land. For Too Deep, the trial came in the form of waiting, doubting, and still choosing faith. Together, their journey reminds us, True love is not measured in comfort or ease, but in resilience when everything else falls apart. Success and ambition may vanish in a single storm, but loyalty and love endure, if we choose to protect them. Waiting is not weakness. When rooted in faith, it is the greatest act of love, and sometimes, giving up everything to return to the one who waits is not a loss. It is the greatest victory of all.